I'm not gonna lie. This might be one of the most interesting off-seasons we've seen around the Chiefs in a long time, because in the span of just a few days, two huge wide receiver stories just dropped, and both of them could completely change Patrick Mahomes' offense next season. First, Stefon Diggs suddenly hits free agency after being released, and now teams across the league are watching to see where one of the most productive receivers of the last decade could land. And when you look at the Chiefs' situation right now, you can't help but wonder if Kansas City might actually make a move. But that's not even the craziest part, because at the same time, Tyreek Hill is also back on the market, and Chris Jones is already out there publicly trying to recruit him back to Kansas City. Yeah, you heard that right. So today we need to talk about both possibilities, Diggs, Hill, and what either of those moves could mean for Mahomes and the future of this offense. I'm Victor, and if you follow this team like I do, you know this could be one of those moments that shapes the entire season. And before we dive into it, real quick, if you enjoy talking Chiefs football like this, help the channel get to 1,600 subscribers. Hit subscribe and join the conversation with us here in Chiefs Kingdom. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk about the first big story here, because this one came out of nowhere and immediately got a lot of people around the league paying attention. Stefon Diggs is officially heading to free agency, and the way this whole thing unfolded was actually pretty interesting. Diggs didn't make some long statement or dramatic post. Instead, he quietly posted a short Instagram story, basically signaling the end of his time with the New England Patriots. That happened just hours after reports started circulating that the team had decided to move on from him. Before the news even broke officially, there were already signs something was coming. Diggs had wiped his social media earlier in the week and even unfollowed the Patriots organization. Then NFL insider Tom Pelissero confirmed it. The Patriots are releasing him, and now one of the most productive receivers of the last decade is suddenly back on the open market. And when you look at the timing of this, it's really interesting for the Chiefs, because right now, the Chiefs are dealing with a lot of uncertainty in their receiving group. Normally, when you think about this team, you think about stability around Patrick Mahomes, reliable weapons, a system that works, guys who can make plays when it matters. But heading into this offseason, that picture suddenly looks a lot less clear. First, there's the situation with Rashee Rice, who could potentially face a suspension because of legal issues. Then you've got the huge question mark around Travis Kelce, who still hasn't decided whether he's coming back for another season or if he's going to step away from the game. And on top of that, there are several receivers approaching free agency, which means the Chiefs could see multiple pass catchers leaving at the same time. So when analysts look at Kansas City's roster right now, a lot of them are saying the same thing. Wide receiver might be the biggest need on this team heading into the offseason. And if you watch the season, you probably felt that too. The Chiefs missed the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, and one of the big issues was the lack of consistent production from the receiving group. Patrick Mahomes was still doing Patrick Mahomes things, but there just weren't enough reliable targets around him. That's where the Stefon Diggs conversation starts to get really interesting. Because despite being 32 and coming off some injuries, Diggs is still one of the most productive receivers in football. Last season alone, he had 85 catches, over 1,000 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. Even while playing in a Patriots offense that was still figuring itself out with a young quarterback. And when you zoom out on his career, the numbers are even more impressive. Diggs has recorded over 1,000 yards in 7 of the last 8 seasons, and he's had multiple years with over 100 receptions. That kind of consistency is extremely rare in this league. So on paper, you can absolutely see the logic. Put a veteran route runner like Diggs in an offense with Andy Reid calling plays and Patrick Mahomes throwing the football, so why? And suddenly you're talking about a receiver who could immediately become one of the most dangerous weapons on the roster. But of course, it's not that simple. Diggs turns 32 this season, he's coming off injuries, and teams are always cautious about giving long-term deals to receivers at that stage of their career. There are also the off-field distractions that have followed him during different parts of his career, which front offices always have to consider. So, for the Chiefs, this might come down to one question. How much risk are they willing to take to upgrade this offense right now? Because general manager Brett Veach actually has options. Kansas City now has 9 draft picks, including a top 10 selection after the trade involving Trent McDuffie. That means the team could easily go after a young receiver in the draft instead of bringing in a veteran like Diggs. But there's also another angle to this. Stefon Diggs has accomplished almost everything in his career. Pro Bowls, huge seasons, playoff appearances. But there's one thing missing from his resume: a Super Bowl ring. And if you're a veteran receiver chasing that kind of legacy moment, there might not be a clearer path than joining a team led by the Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So yeah, this situation is definitely one to watch. The Chiefs need help at receiver, Diggs is suddenly available, and the fit, at least on paper, is pretty intriguing. But here's where things get even more interesting. Because while everyone is debating whether Kansas City could go after Stefon Diggs, something else just happened that has Chiefs fans all over the internet talking. And this time, the conversation involves a very familiar name in Kansas City. And now let's talk about the second story, because this one honestly feels like something straight out of a movie. And it all started with one simple tweet from Chris Jones. After the Miami Dolphins released Tyreek Hill, the news immediately sent shockwaves around the league. One of the fastest and most explosive receivers in NFL history was suddenly heading to free agency. And before fans even had time to process it, Chris Jones jumped on social media and did something that instantly got Chiefs fans talking. He tagged Tyreek Hill and posted a simple message: "It's time." Just that, with a clock emoji. Now look, when a leader in the locker room like Chris Jones says something like that publicly, it's not just random. It shows that inside the team, guys are already thinking about what it would look like to bring one of the most electric players in franchise history back to Kansas City. And honestly, if you're a Chiefs fan, it's hard not to feel something when you hear Tyreek Hill's name connected to this team again. Because let's be real, Hill was a huge part of what made the Chiefs' offense so terrifying during those years. In 6 seasons with Kansas City, he made 4 All-Pro teams, had multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and helped bring a Super Bowl title to Arrowhead. His speed changed defenses. Safeties had to play deep, corners were constantly on edge, and that opened up the entire offense for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Then, in 2022, the Chiefs shocked everyone by trading him to the Dolphins. At the time, it felt like the end of an era, but now, the door might be open again. Of course, there's a big complication here. Tyreek Hill suffered a serious knee injury early last season, tearing his ACL and dislocating his knee just a few games into the year. That kind of injury always makes teams cautious, especially when we're talking about a receiver whose entire game is built around speed. Still, Hill has already said he plans to come back strong, and that his journey isn't over. And if he does recover well, you can already imagine what Chiefs fans are thinking right now. What would it look like to see Tyreek Hill back at Arrowhead, catching passes from Patrick Mahomes again? Now realistically, there will be competition. Teams like the Chargers have already been mentioned as possible landing spots, especially because of coaching connections from his time in Miami. But the Chiefs are definitely going to be part of this conversation. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, this is where things get really interesting. Because the Chiefs suddenly find themselves connected to 2 huge wide receiver stories at the same time. On one side, you have Stefon Diggs, a veteran receiver who has produced elite numbers for years and could give Mahomes another reliable target right away. On the other side, you have the possibility, even if it's just a possibility right now, of Tyreek Hill returning to Kansas City, a reunion that would instantly shake the entire league. To me as a fan, this tells us something important about where the Chiefs are right now. The team knows the offense needs more firepower. After missing the playoffs for the first time in a decade, Kansas City isn't sitting still. Whether it's through free agency, the draft, or a bold move for a veteran receiver, this front office clearly understands that Patrick Mahomes needs more weapons around him. And honestly, that should make every Chiefs fan a little excited. Because when this organization decides to reload, they usually do it in a big way. So now the real question becomes this: do the Chiefs take a calculated risk on someone like Stefon Diggs? Or do they try to bring back one of the most explosive players this franchise has ever seen in Tyreek Hill? Either way, one thing is clear: this offseason could completely reshape the future of the Chiefs' offense. So when you step back and look at everything that's happening right now, Chiefs Kingdom, the message feels pretty clear. This offseason is going to be a turning point for Kansas City. The team is dealing with uncertainty at wide receiver, questions around key offensive pieces, and a real need to reload around Patrick Mahomes. After a season that didn't go the way anyone in this fan base expected, and now suddenly, two massive names appear on the radar: Stefon Diggs and Tyreek Hill. Different situations, different risks, but both of them show the same thing. The Chiefs know this offense needs help. And if Kansas City really wants to jump back into Super Bowl contention, the front office is going to have to make some bold decisions over the next few weeks. Whether it's signing a veteran, drafting a young star, or making a move no one sees coming, something big could be on the horizon for this offense. As a fan, that gives you a mix of emotions. There's some concern because there are real holes to fix. But there's also excitement, because we've seen before what this organization can do when it decides to reload around Mahomes. Now, I want to hear from you, Chiefs Kingdom. If you had to choose right now, who would you rather see in this offense next season? Stefon Diggs or Tyreek Hill? Drop your opinion down in the comments because I really want to see what you guys think about this situation. And if you enjoy this kind of Chiefs talk, real news, real reactions, just fans talking football, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, if you want to support the channel and help us reach that milestone, just hit that subscribe button and join the conversation here with us.